Let's start out talking about what Enscape is, who uses it. We'll take a quick look at the user interface and then close by talking about some of the cost and licensing options that are available at this moment in time. So Enscape is a real-time rendering engine. I'll go ahead and switch to a 3D view here in Revit. Enscape also works in SketchUp, Rhino, and ArchiCAD. This part of the tutorial will focus on the Revit workflow. We switch to a 3D view, and then we'll also want to make sure we set the detail level to fine, so most things show up in a high level of detail. And then we simply click the Start button on the Enscape tab. Enscape is used by people in the building industry, architects, interior designers, contractors, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structural engineers, as well as landscape architects. We have the opportunity to visualize a model in a real-time rendering engine that looks quite elegant. Typically, if you have two screens, you would have Revit on one screen, Enscape on another screen. In this case, I will combine the two views into one screen because that's what I'm recording. I'll double click into an area here on the model to zoom in. And then right away we see a really nice model. And throughout this course, we'll be updating this model to make it look even better. I'll spend a little bit of time navigating the model just to highlight the quality and the ease in which we can navigate the model and convey our design ideas to our clients and stakeholders. We can adjust the time of day. The lighting is accurate for our location on Earth and true north, assuming those were set in the Revit model. Those are things we'll cover later on. A quick look at the user interface for Enscape. It's simply a tab on the ribbon which shows up when you install it on your computer. As we already looked at, we have the Start button, and once we start Enscape, we have the ability to pause it. What that means is that if we actually select something and move it, such as this chair, or we were to place a new chair, the Enscape model instantly updates. So we have this real-time connection to Revit. So at some point, if you're making a lot of changes, you might want to hit pause. We have the ability to enable VR. If we are on a computer that has a HTC Vive or an Oculus Rift connected to it, we can instantly go into VR from here. Just previous to VR, we have a list of all the 3D views that have been created in this model. We can export a still image using this render image command. We can export an exe, which combines the Revit model and Enscape into a standalone file that can be shared with others as long as they have hardware that can support it. We also have some video editing tools, the ability to make a panorama or a view that could be looked at through a Google Cardboard viewer. We can upload our model to the cloud, add sounds, control settings, and then leave feedback and see what version of Enscape we're using. That's a quick look at the user interface. And then finally, we'll talk about the cost and licensing options. Here's the current Enscape website. If we go to the Buy link, we'll see there's a fixed seat license for $449 a year for an individual. There's a floating license for $679. This allows a certain number of floating license to be used by an unlimited number of people, say in an office, an architecture or MEP or structural office. Say you have 4 floating license, you could have Enscape installed on 30 computers, but only 4 people can use it at a given time. And then there's also a monthly option, $45 a month for an individual. If you think you only need it for 2 months, for example, you could buy it for 2 months rather than an entire year. So that's a really quick high-level introduction to what Enscape is, who uses it, the overview of the user interface, and then also the cost and licensing options.